If you're over 60 and struggling with blood sugar spikes that seem to get worse every year, what I'm about to share with you could be the game changer you've been searching for. In the next hour, I'm going to reveal 5 scientifically backed teas that can help you take control of your blood sugar naturally, starting with your very next meal. But before we dive in, let me be crystal clear about something. I'm not here to sell you miracle cures or overnight transformations. What I am here to share are evidence-based, practical solutions that have helped thousands of people over 60 regain control of their metabolic health. These aren't magic bullets, but when used correctly and consistently, these 5 teas can become powerful allies in your fight against diabetes and prediabetes. Picture this: you've just finished dinner, and instead of that familiar post-meal energy crash and the anxiety about what your blood sugar monitor might show, you feel steady, energized, and confident. Your glucose readings are within healthy ranges, and for the first time in years, you're not living in fear of what your next lab results might reveal. This isn't a fantasy, it's the reality that many of my patients over 60 have achieved by incorporating these specific teas into their daily routine. Now, you might be wondering why I'm focusing specifically on people over 60. The answer is both simple and concerning. After age 60, our bodies undergo significant metabolic changes that make blood sugar control increasingly challenging. Your pancreas doesn't produce insulin as efficiently as it once did. Your muscle mass naturally declines, reducing your body's ability to absorb glucose effectively. Your sleep patterns change, affecting hormones that regulate blood sugar. Even medications you might be taking for other conditions can interfere with glucose metabolism. But here's what most doctors won't tell you. These changes don't mean you're doomed to a life of ever-increasing blood sugar levels and mounting health complications. Your body still has remarkable healing capacity, and with the right tools, including these 5 powerful teas, you can work with your physiology rather than against it. I've spent the last 15 years specializing in metabolic health for older adults, and I've seen firsthand how the right nutritional interventions can literally reverse years of metabolic decline. The 5 teas I'm about to share with you aren't just folk remedies passed down through generations. Though some of them are that too, they're backed by robust scientific research, with clinical trials specifically involving people over 60 showing measurable improvements in blood sugar control, insulin sensitivity, and overall metabolic health. Before we explore these teas, though, I need to address the elephant in the room. If you're currently taking medication for diabetes or prediabetes, do not stop taking your prescribed medications based on anything you hear in this presentation. These teas are meant to complement, not replace, your current medical treatment. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making significant changes to your diabetes management routine, especially if you're taking insulin, sulfonylureas, or any blood-thinning medications. With that crucial disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about why tea, specifically these 5 varieties, can be such a powerful tool for blood sugar management after 60. Tea contains bioactive compounds called polyphenols, which act as natural regulators of glucose metabolism. These compounds can improve insulin sensitivity, slow the absorption of carbohydrates from your digestive tract, and even help your liver process glucose more efficiently. But not all teas are created equal when it comes to blood sugar control. The 5 I'm sharing today have been selected based on 3 criteria. First, they must have solid scientific evidence supporting their glucose-lowering effects. Second, they must be safe for regular consumption by people over 60. And third, they must be readily available and affordable for most people. Throughout this presentation, I want you to think of yourself as a scientist conducting your own personal experiment. I'm going to give you specific protocols for testing each tea, including how to monitor your blood sugar response and what warning signs to watch for. Because here's the truth: even with all the research in the world, your individual response to these teas will be unique. What works wonderfully for your neighbor might not work as well for you, and that's perfectly normal. The key is systematic testing, careful monitoring, and patience. I've seen too many people try a natural remedy for 3 days, not see dramatic changes, and give up. Real metabolic improvement takes time, often weeks or months, but for those who stick with it, the rewards can be life-changing. Let me share a quick story that illustrates this perfectly. Margaret, a 67-year-old retired teacher, came to see me 2 years ago with an A1C of 8.2 and frustration that seemed to deepen with every doctor's visit. She'd been told to lose weight, exercise more, and take her medications, advice she'd heard countless times before. Within 6 months of incorporating just 2 of the teas I'm about to share with you, along with some other lifestyle modifications, her A1C dropped to 6.8. More importantly, she told me she felt like herself again for the first time in years. Now, before we dive into the specific teas, I want you to understand exactly how we're going to approach this. I'm not just going to list 5 teas and send you on your way. We're going to go deep into each one. You'll learn the exact compounds that make each tea effective, how to prepare them for maximum benefit, when to drink them for optimal blood sugar control, and what potential side effects or interactions you need to be aware of. We'll also discuss how to create a systematic 7-day testing protocol so you can identify which of these teas works best for your unique physiology. Because remember, the goal isn't to drink all 5 teas every day for the rest of your life. The goal is to find the 1, 2, or 3 that give you the best results with the least effort and integrate them seamlessly into your existing routine. I also want to address something that many people over 60 struggle with: the overwhelming amount of conflicting health information available today. One expert says to drink green tea, another warns about the caffeine. One study shows cinnamon lowers blood sugar, another questions its safety. It's enough to make anyone throw up their hands and stick with what they know, even if what they know ain't working. That's why I'm going to give you not just the what, but the why and the how. By the end of this presentation, you'll understand not only which teas to drink, but why they work, how they interact with your body's existing systems, and how to modify their use based on your individual response and health status. Let's start our journey with the first and perhaps most accessible of our 5 blood sugar fighting teas, Ceylon cinnamon tea. Now, you might be thinking, I've heard about cinnamon for blood sugar before, and you're probably right. But what most people don't know is that there are actually 2 main types of cinnamon, and choosing the wrong one could potentially do more harm than good. The cinnamon you find in most grocery stores is called cassia cinnamon, and while it does have some blood sugar benefits, it's also high in a compound called coumarin, which can be toxic to your liver in large doses. Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, contains dramatically less coumarin while providing equal or superior blood sugar benefits. The active compounds in Ceylon cinnamon work through multiple pathways to help control blood sugar. First, they improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level, helping your muscles and other tissues absorb glucose more effectively. Second, they slow gastric emptying, which means carbohydrates are released more slowly into your bloodstream, preventing those dangerous post-meal spikes. Third, they may actually help your liver process glucose more efficiently. Clinical studies specifically involving people over 60 have shown that consuming cinnamon extract equivalent to about 1 to 2 grams of ground cinnamon daily can reduce fasting blood sugar by 10 to 15% and post-meal blood sugar spikes by up to 20%. That might not sound dramatic, but for someone with a fasting blood sugar of 140, a 15% reduction brings them down to 119. The difference between diabetic and prediabetic ranges. Asterisk, here's exactly how to prepare and use Ceylon cinnamon tea for optimal blood sugar control. You'll want to purchase whole Ceylon cinnamon sticks rather than ground powder, as the sticks retain more of their active compounds and are less likely to be contaminated or adulterated. Take 1 cinnamon stick, about 3 to 4 inches long, and break it into 2 or 3 pieces. Place these pieces in 8 to 10 ounces of just boiled water and let them steep for 10 to 15 minutes. The longer steeping time is crucial because it takes time to extract the beneficial compounds from the bark. The optimal timing for drinking cinnamon tea is about 15 to 20 minutes before meals, particularly before meals that are higher in carbohydrates. This gives the active compounds time to begin influencing your digestive processes before the carbohydrates hit your system. If you forget to drink it before meals, drinking it with your meal is still beneficial. Though not quite as effective as pre-meal consumption, you can safely drink cinnamon tea twice daily, once before lunch and once before dinner. I don't recommend drinking it before breakfast unless you're having a high carbohydrate breakfast, because your morning blood sugar spike is often more related to natural hormone fluctuations than to food intake. Now, let's talk about safety considerations, because this is where many online resources fall short. While Ceylon cinnamon is generally very safe, there are some important precautions. If you're taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin or even daily aspirin, cinnamon can enhance their effects, potentially increasing your bleeding risk. This doesn't mean you can't use cinnamon tea, but it does mean you need to work closely with your healthcare provider to monitor your blood clotting times. If you're taking insulin or medications like glyburide or glipizide that can cause hypoglycemia, cinnamon tea may enhance their effects, potentially causing your blood sugar to drop to low. Again, this isn't necessarily a reason to avoid cinnamon tea, but it is a reason to monitor your blood sugar more frequently when you first start using it, and to work with your doctor to potentially adjust your medication doses. People with liver disease should be particularly cautious with any form of cinnamon, even Ceylon cinnamon. While the coumarin content is low, it's not zero, and compromised liver function means your body may not process even small amounts effectively. Here's a real-world example of how to integrate cinnamon tea safely and effectively. Robert, a 72-year-old retiree with type 2 diabetes, was struggling with post-lunch blood sugar spikes that regularly reached 200 milligrams per deciliter. We started him on Ceylon cinnamon tea 20 minutes before lunch, and within 2 weeks, his post-lunch peaks had dropped to an average of 165 over 3 months. As his body adapted to the regular cinnamon consumption, his post-lunch average dropped to 145. His doctor was able to reduce his afternoon rapid-acting insulin dose by 20%. But Robert's success didn't happen overnight. And it wasn't just about the tea. He also committed to a 10-minute walk after lunch, which we'll talk about later as part of your comprehensive blood sugar management strategy. The combination of pre-meal cinnamon tea and post-meal movement created a synergistic effect that was more powerful than either intervention alone. One thing I want to emphasize about cinnamon tea is the importance of consistency. Unlike medications that can have immediate effects, the benefits of cinnamon tea build over time. The compounds need to accumulate in your system and begin influencing your metabolic processes at the cellular level. Most people begin to see measurable improvements in their blood sugar control after 1 to 2 weeks of consistent use, with maximum benefits typically achieved after 4 to 6 weeks. The taste of Ceylon cinnamon tea is milder and sweeter than you might expect, with none of the harsh, almost burning sensation that cassia cinnamon can produce. Many people find it naturally pleasant and don't feel the need to add any sweeteners. However, if you do want to enhance the flavor, avoid sugar or honey, which would obviously defeat the purpose. Instead, consider adding a small amount of stevia, which may actually provide additional blood sugar benefits, or a few drops of liquid monk fruit sweetener. Some people like to enhance their cinnamon tea with complementary spices that also have blood sugar benefits. A small amount of turmeric can add anti-inflammatory properties, while a pinch of ginger can aid digestion and may provide additional glucose lowering effects. Just remember that when you start combining multiple active compounds, you increase both the potential benefits and the potential for side effects or interactions. Now let's move on to our second powerful blood sugar fighting tea, green tea. If Ceylon cinnamon is the gentle, steady worker in our arsenal, green tea is the scientific superstar with more research backing its metabolic benefits than almost any other natural compound. Green tea contains a group of antioxidants called catechins, with the most important being epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG. These compounds work through multiple mechanisms to improve blood sugar control. They enhance insulin sensitivity, reduce the absorption of glucose from the intestines, and may even help preserve the function of the insulin-producing beta cells in your pancreas. What makes green tea particularly valuable for people over 60 is that its benefits seem to be more pronounced in older adults. Multiple studies have shown that people over 60 who drink green tea regularly have lower rates of developing type 2 diabetes and better blood sugar control if they already have diabetes or prediabetes. The research on green tea and blood sugar is extensive and impressive. A comprehensive analysis of multiple clinical trials found that regular green tea consumption can reduce fasting blood glucose by an average of 7 milligrams per deciliter and hemoglobin A1c by 0.3 to 0.4 percentage points. While these numbers might seem modest, they represent clinically significant improvements that can reduce your risk of diabetic complications over time. But here's where most people go wrong with green tea. They either brew it incorrectly, destroying many of the beneficial compounds, or they drink it at the wrong times, missing opportunities to maximize its blood sugar benefits. Let me teach you the optimal way to prepare green tea for maximum metabolic benefit. First, water temperature is crucial. Most people make the mistake of pouring boiling water directly over green tea, which destroys many of the delicate catechins. Instead, heat your water to 175 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, or let boiling water cool for about 3 to 4 minutes before pouring it over your tea. Second, steeping time matters, but not in the way you might think. While longer steeping extracts more catechins, it also extracts more tannins, which can cause stomach upset and may interfere with iron absorption. The sweet spot is 2 to 3 minutes for loose-leaf green tea or high-quality tea bags. Third, the type of green tea you choose can significantly impact its blood sugar benefits. Matcha, which is powdered whole green tea leaves, contains the highest concentration of catechins, followed by high-quality loose-leaf sencha or gyokuro. Avoid flavored green teas or those with added ingredients, as these often contain less of the beneficial compounds and may include added sugars. The optimal timing for green tea consumption depends on your caffeine tolerance and your specific blood sugar patterns. For most people over 60, I recommend drinking green tea about 30 minutes before your largest meal of the day, typically lunch or dinner. This timing allows the catechins to begin influencing glucose metabolism before you consume carbohydrates. However, green tea does contain caffeine, about 25 to 50 milligrams per cup compared to 95 milligrams in a cup of coffee. So, evening consumption may interfere with sleep. Since poor sleep significantly worsens blood sugar control, it's generally better to avoid caffeinated green tea after 2 p.m. For people who are sensitive to caffeine or want to drink green tea in the evening, decaffeinated green tea is an option, though the decaffeination process does reduce some of the beneficial catechins. Water-processed decaffeinated green tea retains more of the beneficial compounds than chemically processed versions. Now, let's address the safety considerations for green tea, because while it's generally very safe, there are some important interactions and precautions to be aware of, especially for people over 60 who may be taking multiple medications. Green tea can interact with blood-thinning medications like warfarin, potentially affecting your clotting times. The vitamin K content in green tea is relatively low, but the catechins may influence how your liver processes warfarin. If you're on blood thinners, you want to maintain consistent green tea consumption. Don't drink 3 cups one day and none the next, and work with your doctor to monitor your INR levels. Green tea may also interact with beta blockers and other blood pressure medications. The caffeine can temporarily raise blood pressure, while the catechins may enhance the blood pressure lowering effects of your medications. This combination can occasionally cause blood pressure to drop to low. leading to dizziness or fainting. People taking certain antiarrhythmic medications should be cautious with green tea, as the caffeine content can potentially trigger irregular heartbeats in sensitive individuals. This doesn't mean you can't drink green tea, but you should start with small amounts and monitor your response carefully. One interaction that many people don't know about involves iron absorption. Green tea can significantly reduce the absorption of iron from plant-based foods and supplements. If you're taking iron supplements or have been diagnosed with iron deficiency, drink your green tea at least 2 hours away from iron-containing meals or supplements. Here's a practical example of how to integrate green tea safely and effectively. Maria, a 64-year-old with prediabetes and a strong family history of diabetes, wanted to use green tea as part of her prevention strategy. She was taking a beta blocker for mild hypertension and was concerned about interactions. We started her with half a cup of green tea 30 minutes before lunch, monitoring her blood pressure and blood sugar response. After a week with no adverse effects, she increased to a full cup before lunch. Her post-lunch blood sugar readings, which had been averaging 160, dropped to an average of 140 within 3 weeks. Her blood pressure remained stable, and she experienced no adverse effects. After 6 weeks, we added a second cup of decaffeinated green tea before dinner. Her evening blood sugar control improved noticeably, and her 3-month average blood sugar measurements showed a significant improvement. The key to Maria's success was the gradual introduction, careful monitoring, and consistent timing. One important note about green tea quality: not all green teas are created equal, and unfortunately, some commercially available green teas contain very low levels of the beneficial compounds we're after. Look for organic, single-origin green teas from reputable suppliers. Japanese green teas like sencha and gyokuro tend to have higher catechin content than Chinese green teas. Though high-quality examples of both can be beneficial, matcha deserves special mention because it contains significantly higher levels of catechins than brewed green tea. However, it's also more expensive and contains more caffeine. If you choose to use matcha for blood sugar control, start with just half a teaspoon per day mixed in hot water, as the effects are more concentrated. Some people find the taste of green tea too grassy or bitter. If this describes you, try adding a small amount of lemon juice, which can actually increase the absorption of catechins while improving the flavor. Avoid adding milk or cream, as the proteins can bind to the catechins and reduce their effectiveness. Now let's explore our third blood sugar fighting tea, mulberry leaf tea. This might be the least familiar tea on our list, but in many ways, it's the most specifically targeted for blood sugar control. Mulberry leaf contains a unique compound called 1-deoxynitrogenamycin, or DNJ, which acts as a natural inhibitor of alpha-glucosidase enzymes in your small intestine. Here's why that matters. When you eat carbohydrates, your body breaks them down into simple sugars using various enzymes, including alpha-glucosidase. By inhibiting these enzymes, mulberry leaf tea can significantly slow the absorption of glucose from your meals, preventing those dangerous post-meal blood sugar spikes that are particularly problematic for people over 60. The beauty of this mechanism is that it doesn't interfere with your body's natural insulin production or sensitivity. Instead, it simply slows down the rate at which dietary carbohydrates enter your bloodstream, giving your pancreas more time to respond appropriately and preventing the overwhelming glucose surges that can damage your blood vessels over time. Clinical studies on mulberry leaf tea have shown impressive results, specifically for post-meal blood sugar control. In studies involving people with diabetes and prediabetes, mulberry leaf tea consumed before carbohydrate-rich meals reduced post-meal blood sugar peaks by 20–30%. That's the difference between a post-meal reading of 200 and a reading of 140 to 160, a clinically significant improvement that can substantially reduce your risk of long-term complications. What makes mulberry leaf tea particularly valuable for people over 60 is that its effects are most pronounced with higher carbohydrate meals. As we age, social eating often involves more carbohydrate-rich foods, birthday cakes, holiday meals, restaurant dinners with bread and dessert. Mulberry leaf tea can help you navigate these situations without completely derailing your blood sugar control. The preparation of mulberry leaf tea is straightforward, but timing is crucial for optimal effectiveness. You'll want to drink it 15 to 20 minutes before your most carbohydrate-heavy meal of the day. For most people, this is lunch or dinner. The pre-meal timing is essential because the DNJ compounds need to be present in your digestive system before the carbohydrates arrive. To prepare mulberry leaf tea, use about 1 tablespoon of dried mulberry leaves per cup of hot water. Steep for 10 to 15 minutes to ensure full extraction of the active compounds. The tea has a mild, slightly sweet flavor that most people find pleasant. Unlike some medicinal teas, mulberry leaf tea doesn't have any bitter or unpleasant aftertaste. The safety profile of mulberry leaf tea is excellent for most people, but there are some important considerations, particularly if you're taking diabetes medications. Because mulberry leaf tea effectively reduces carbohydrate absorption, it can enhance the blood sugar lowering effects of your diabetes medications, potentially causing hypoglycemia if you're not careful. If you're taking insulin or sulfonylurea medications like glyburide or glipizide, you'll need to monitor your blood sugar closely when you first start using mulberry leaf tea. Some people find they need to reduce their medication doses slightly to avoid low blood sugar episodes. This is actually a positive development, but it needs to be managed carefully with your healthcare provider's guidance. People taking acarbose or other alpha-glucosidase inhibitor medications should be particularly cautious with mulberry leaf tea, as the combined effects could be too strong, potentially causing significant gastrointestinal upset or excessively low post-meal blood sugars. Here's a practical success story that illustrates how to use mulberry leaf tea effectively. James, a 68-year-old retired engineer with well-controlled type 2 diabetes, was frustrated by post-dinner blood sugar spikes that occurred even when he was careful about his food choices. His post-dinner readings were regularly reaching 180 to 200 milligrams per deciliter. Despite taking his medications as prescribed, we introduced mulberry leaf tea 20 minutes before dinner, and the results were almost immediate. Within the first week, his post-dinner peaks dropped to an average of 150. After a month of consistent use, his post-dinner averages were in the 130 to 140 range, a dramatic improvement that allowed his doctor to reduce his evening rapid-acting insulin dose. James was particularly pleased because the improvement allowed him to enjoy occasional social dinners without the anxiety about blood sugar spikes that had been limiting his social activities. The key was consistent pre-meal timing and careful blood sugar monitoring, especially during the first few weeks. One unique advantage of mulberry leaf tea is that its effects are dose-dependent and meal-specific. Unlike medications that work systemically, mulberry leaf tea primarily affects the meal you consume after drinking it. This means you can use it strategically for higher carbohydrate meals while skipping it for low-carb meals, giving you flexibility in your diabetes management approach. Some people find that mulberry leaf tea occasionally causes mild digestive upset, particularly when first starting to use it. This is usually due to the sudden change in carbohydrate digestion patterns. If you experience this, try starting with a weaker tea, half a tablespoon of leaves per cup, and gradually increasing the strength over a week or two as your digestive system adapts. The quality of mulberry leaves can vary significantly between suppliers. Look for organic, properly dried leaves that maintain their green color and don't have a musty or off smell. Some suppliers offer mulberry leaf tea in convenient tea bag form, which can be just as effective as loose leaves if the quality is high. Now let's discuss our fourth blood sugar fighting tea, fenugreek tea. Fenugreek seeds have been used for thousands of years in traditional medicine, and modern research has validated many of their metabolic benefits. What makes fenugreek particularly interesting for blood sugar control? Its unique combination of soluble fiber and a specific amino acid called 4-hydroxysilucin. The soluble fiber in fenugreek forms a gel-like substance in your digestive tract, slowing the absorption of carbohydrates and helping to prevent blood sugar spikes. Meanwhile, 4-hydroxysilucin has been shown to enhance insulin sensitivity and may even stimulate insulin production in response to elevated blood glucose levels. Clinical trials involving fenugreek have shown significant benefits for people with diabetes and prediabetes. Regular consumption of fenugreek has been associated with reductions in fasting blood glucose of 15 to 20% and improvements in post-meal blood sugar control of 20 to 25%. Additionally, fenugreek consumption has been linked to improvements in cholesterol levels, which is particularly beneficial for people over 60 who often struggle with both blood sugar and cardiovascular health issues. Preparing fenugreek tea requires a slightly different approach than our other teas because the beneficial compounds are locked within the hard seed coating. You'll want to start with whole fenugreek seeds, which you can find in most health food stores or online. Take about 1 teaspoon of seeds and lightly crush them with the back of a spoon or in a mortar and pestle. You don't need to powder them, just crack them enough to expose the interior. Place the crushed seeds in a cup of hot water and let them steep for 15 to 20 minutes. Some people prefer to simmer the seeds in water for 5 to 10 minutes, then let them steep for another 10 minutes. This longer extraction time is necessary to pull out the beneficial compounds from the seeds. The resulting tea has a distinctive flavor that can be described as slightly nutty and bitter. Some people love it immediately, while others need time to acquire a taste for it. If you find the flavor too strong, you can start with half a teaspoon of seeds and gradually work up to a full teaspoon as you become accustomed to the taste. For optimal blood sugar benefits, drink fenugreek tea about 30 minutes before your largest meal of the day. The timing allows the fiber and active compounds to begin working in your digestive system before you consume carbohydrates. You can safely drink fenugreek tea once or twice daily, but I recommend starting with once daily to assess your individual response. Safety considerations for fenugreek are important, particularly for people taking certain medications. Fenugreek can enhance the blood sugar lowering effects of diabetes medications, potentially causing hypoglycemia. As with our other teas, if you're taking insulin or sulfonylurea medications, you'll need to monitor your blood sugar carefully and work with your healthcare provider to adjust doses if necessary. Fenugreek also has mild blood thinning properties and may enhance the effects of anticoagulant medications. If you're taking warfarin or other blood thinners, discuss fenugreek use with your doctor and consider more frequent monitoring of your clotting times when you first start using it. People with allergies to peanuts, chickpeas, or other legumes should be cautious with fenugreek, as it belongs to the same plant family and cross-reactions are possible. Start with a very small amount and monitor for any allergic symptoms. One unique aspect of fenugreek is its potential to lower cholesterol levels in addition to its blood sugar benefits. This dual action makes it particularly valuable for people over 60 who often struggle with both issues. In clinical trials, fenugreek consumption has been associated with reductions in total cholesterol of 10 to 15% and improvements in the ratio of good to bad cholesterol. Here's how Patricia, a 71-year-old with prediabetes and elevated cholesterol, successfully integrated fenugreek tea into her routine. Her fasting blood sugar had been creeping up over several years, reaching an average of 125 milligrams per deciliter, and her cholesterol levels were requiring medication adjustments. We started her on fenugreek tea 30 minutes before dinner, her largest meal of the day. The distinctive flavor took some getting used to, but within 2 weeks, she began seeing improvements in both her post-dinner blood sugars and her overall daily averages. After 3 months of consistent use, her fasting blood glucose had dropped to an average of 110, and her cholesterol levels had improved enough that her doctor was able to reduce her statin dose. Patricia's success was enhanced by her commitment to consistency and her willingness to make additional small changes, including a 15-minute evening walk after dinner. The combination of pre-meal fenugreek tea and post-meal movement created a powerful synergy for blood sugar control. Some people experience mild gastrointestinal effects when first starting fenugreek tea, including bloating or changes in bowel habits. These effects are usually temporary and resolve as your digestive system adapts to the increased fiber intake. If you experience persistent digestive issues, try reducing the amount of fenugreek seeds and gradually increasing over time. An interesting side effect of fenugreek consumption is that it can cause your sweat and urine to smell like maple syrup. This is completely harmless and is due to a compound called sotalin that's present in fenugreek seeds. Some people find this pleasant, while others prefer to be aware of it in advance. Our fifth and final blood sugar fighting tea is hibiscus tea, made from the dried flowers of Hibiscus sabdariffa. While hibiscus is perhaps best known for its blood pressure lowering effects, emerging research suggests it also has significant benefits for blood sugar control, making it an excellent choice for people over 60, who often struggle with both hypertension and diabetes. Hibiscus flowers are rich in anthocyanins and other polyphenolic compounds that have multiple metabolic effects. These compounds can improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation that interferes with glucose metabolism, and may even help protect the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas from damage. What makes hibiscus particularly valuable for people over 60 is its dual cardiovascular and metabolic benefits. High blood pressure and diabetes often occur together, and both conditions increase your risk of heart disease, stroke, and kidney problems. By addressing both issues simultaneously, hibiscus tea can be a powerful addition to your overall health management strategy. Research on hibiscus and blood sugar control is still emerging, but the results are promising. Studies have shown that regular hibiscus consumption can reduce fasting blood glucose by 8 to 12% and improve post-meal glucose control. Additionally, the blood pressure benefits are well established, with studies showing reductions of 7 to 10 points in systolic blood pressure with regular hibiscus consumption. Preparing hibiscus tea is simple and forgiving. Use about 1 to 2 tablespoons of dried hibiscus flowers per cup of boiling water and steep for 5 to 8 minutes. The tea has a beautiful deep red color and a tart, cranberry-like flavor that most people find refreshing. Unlike some of our other medicinal teas, hibiscus actually tastes good enough to be enjoyed purely for pleasure. Hibiscus tea can be enjoyed hot or cold, making it a versatile option for year-round consumption. Many people prefer it iced, especially during warm weather, and it makes an excellent sugar-free substitute for sodas or other sweetened beverages. The natural tartness means you're less likely to crave added sweeteners, though a small amount of stevia can enhance the flavor if desired. For blood sugar benefits, you can drink hibiscus tea at almost any time of day, as it's naturally caffeine-free. However, for optimal glucose control, consider drinking it with or shortly after meals, as this timing may help blunt post-meal blood sugar rises. You can safely consume 2 to 3 cups of hibiscus tea daily, though you should start with 1 cup to assess your individual response. The safety considerations for hibiscus tea primarily revolve around its blood pressure lowering effects. If you're already taking medications for high blood pressure, hibiscus tea may enhance their effects, potentially causing your blood pressure to drop to low. Symptoms of low blood pressure include dizziness, lightheadedness, fatigue, and fainting. If you're taking diuretic medications, sometimes called water pills, hibiscus may enhance their effects, potentially leading to excessive fluid loss and electrolyte imbalances. Monitor your response carefully and ensure you're staying adequately hydrated. People taking ACE inhibitors or ARBs for blood pressure should be particularly cautious with hibiscus, as the combination may cause blood pressure to drop more than intended. This doesn't mean you can't use hibiscus tea, but you should work with your healthcare provider to monitor your blood pressure more frequently when you first start using it. Hibiscus tea may also interact with certain pain medications. and should be avoided by people taking hydrochlorothiazide or chloroquine, as it may affect how these medications are processed by your liver. Here's how Margaret, a 69-year-old with both diabetes and hypertension, successfully incorporated hibiscus tea into her daily routine. She was frustrated by afternoon blood sugar spikes and was looking for a natural way to support both her diabetes and blood pressure management. We started her with 1 cup of hibiscus tea in the afternoon, about an hour after lunch. Within the first week, she noticed that her afternoon energy levels were more stable, and her post-lunch blood sugar readings were consistently lower. After a month, her doctor noted that her blood pressure readings were improved, enough to reduce one of her blood pressure medications by half. Margaret particularly appreciated that hibiscus tea tasted good enough to replace the diet sodas she had been drinking in the afternoon. The natural tartness satisfied her craving for something flavorful, and she felt good knowing she was supporting her health with every sip. The quality of hibiscus flowers can vary significantly between suppliers. Look for organic, whole-dried flowers that maintain their deep red color and have a fresh, tart aroma. Avoid hibiscus products that have been heavily processed or that contain added ingredients like artificial flavors or preservatives. Some people find hibiscus tea to tart on its own. If this describes you, try blending it with other herbal teas like chamomile or mint. You can also add a small amount of ginger for additional flavor and potential blood sugar benefits. Just avoid adding caloric sweeteners that would counteract the blood sugar benefits you're trying to achieve. Now that we've explored all 5 of our blood sugar fighting teas individually, let's talk about how to create a systematic approach to testing and incorporating them into your daily routine. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself by trying all 5 teas simultaneously, but rather to methodically test each one to determine which works best for your unique physiology and lifestyle. I call this the 7-day tea testing protocol, and it's designed to give you clear, measurable data about how each tea affects your blood sugar while minimizing variables that could confuse your results. This systematic approach has helped hundreds of my patients, over 60, identify their most effective natural blood sugar management tools. Here's how the protocol works. You'll test 1 tea at a time for a full week, maintaining all your other routines, medications, meals, exercise, sleep schedule as consistently as possible. The only variable you're changing is the addition of 1 specific tea at the optimal time for that particular tea. During each testing week, you'll take blood sugar measurements at specific times, fasting glucose when you wake up, and glucose levels 1 and 2 hours after your main meals. You'll also record subjective measures like energy levels, hunger patterns, and overall sense of well-being. By the end of 7 weeks, you'll have comprehensive data about which teas provide the most benefit for your individual situation. Week 1 is your Ceylon cinnamon tea testing week. Prepare your cinnamon tea using the method I described earlier. 1 Ceylon cinnamon stick steeped for 10 to 15 minutes in hot water. Drink this tea 15 to 20 minutes before your lunch and dinner, the 2 meals that typically cause the most significant blood sugar spikes for people over 60. Each day of this week, record your fasting blood glucose when you wake up. Then measure your blood sugar 1 hour and 2 hours after lunch and dinner. Also note your energy levels on a scale of 1 to 10 about 2 hours after each meal, and record any unusual hunger or cravings throughout the day. By day 3 or 4 of consistent cinnamon tea use, you should begin to see some impact on your post-meal blood sugar readings. Remember, we're not looking for dramatic overnight changes, but rather subtle improvements that become more pronounced over the full week. Many people see their post-meal peak reduced by 10 to 20 points within the first week of consistent cinnamon tea use. Week 2 introduces green tea testing. Prepare your green tea using water heated to 175 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit, steeped for 2 to 3 minutes. Drink 1 cup about 30 minutes before your largest meal of the day, typically lunch or dinner. If you're caffeine sensitive, choose lunch rather than dinner to avoid sleep disruption. Continue the same blood sugar monitoring routine and pay particular attention to the meal following your green tea consumption. Green tea's effects on blood sugar are often most noticeable in the insulin sensitivity improvements rather than dramatic reductions in peak glucose levels. You might notice that your blood sugar returns to baseline more quickly after meals, even if the peak levels aren't dramatically different. Week 3 is your mulberry leaf tea testing week. This is where timing becomes crucial. Drink your mulberry leaf tea exactly 15 to 20 minutes before your most carbohydrate-heavy meal of the day. For most people over 60, this is dinner. Though if you typically have a carbohydrate-rich lunch, that's fine too. Mulberry leaf tea often produces the most dramatic reductions in post-meal blood sugar spikes, particularly for meals containing bread, rice, pasta, or potatoes. Don't be surprised if you see your post-meal peaks reduced by 20 to 40 points compared to your baseline measurements. This tea's effects are often noticeable within the first few days of testing. Week 4 introduces Fenugreek tea testing. Remember that Fenugreek requires the longer preparation time. Crushed seeds steeped for 15 to 20 minutes. Drink this tea 30 minutes before your largest meal of the day. The effects of Fenugreek are often more gradual than mulberry leaf, building over the course of the week. Pay attention not just to your blood sugar readings, but also to your satiety levels after meals. Many people notice that Fenugreek tea helps them feel satisfied with smaller portions, which can contribute to better blood sugar control in and beyond the direct effects of the tea itself. Week 5 is your hibiscus tea testing week. Since hibiscus is caffeine-free and has a pleasant taste, you have more flexibility in timing. Try drinking it with or shortly after your main meals, and consider having a second cup in the afternoon as a healthy replacement for any sugary beverages you might typically consume. Monitor both your blood sugar and blood pressure during this week if you have a home blood pressure monitor. Hibiscus often provides more gradual blood sugar improvements compared to some of our other teas, but the combined cardiovascular and metabolic benefits can be significant over time. Week 6 and 7 are your personalization weeks. Based on your testing results from the first 5 weeks, choose the 2 teas that provided the most benefit for your blood sugar control and test them in combination. This might be cinnamon tea before lunch and mulberry leaf tea before dinner, or green tea in the morning and hibiscus in the afternoon. The key during these combination weeks is to maintain the timing and preparation methods that worked best during your individual testing weeks. Don't try to optimize everything at once. Stick with what you learn during your systematic testing. Throughout all 7 weeks, maintain a simple log that includes your blood sugar readings, the tea you consumed, the timing of consumption, and any notable observations about energy, hunger, sleep, or overall well-being. This log will become your personal roadmap for long-term blood sugar management. Here's what a typical day might look like during your testing protocol. Wake up and immediately take your fasting blood glucose reading before eating or drinking anything other than water. Have your normal breakfast, but don't add any tea during the testing weeks unless you're specifically testing a morning tea. Timing about 30 minutes before your target meal, the meal where you're testing your selected tea for that week. Prepare and drink your tea according to the specific instructions for that variety. Eat your normal meal, then set timers to remind yourself to check your blood sugar exactly 1 hour and 2 hours after finishing your meal. Record all your readings in your log, along with notes about what you ate, how you felt, and any other relevant observations. The goal is to create a clear picture of how each tea affects not just your blood sugar numbers, but your overall sense of well-being and energy. Let me share an example of how this systematic testing helped one of my patients. Dorothy, a 74-year-old retired nurse, was skeptical about natural remedies but willing to try a systematic approach. Her baseline fasting glucose was averaging 135, and her post-meal peaks were regularly reaching 190 to 200. During her cinnamon tea testing week, Dorothy saw modest improvements. Her post-meal peaks dropped to an average of 175, which was encouraging but not dramatic. Green tea week showed similar modest improvements, with the added benefit of increased afternoon energy levels. But mulberry leaf tea was Dorothy's game changer. Her post-dinner blood sugar peaks, which had been averaging 195, dropped to an average of 155 during the testing week. She was so impressed that she almost stopped testing there, but I encouraged her to complete the full protocol. Fenugreek tea provided moderate benefits similar to cinnamon, but Dorothy noted that it significantly reduced her evening snack cravings. Hibiscus tea showed the smallest blood sugar impact, but helped her blood pressure enough that her doctor reduced one of her medications for her combination weeks. Dorothy chose mulberry leaf tea before dinner and hibiscus tea in the afternoon. This combination gave her the best blood sugar control while providing cardiovascular benefits and helping her eliminate the diet sodas she had been drinking every afternoon. After completing the 7-week protocol, Dorothy had a clear, personalized plan that fit her lifestyle and provided measurable benefits. Her 3-month average blood sugar measurements showed significant improvement, and she felt more confident and in control of her diabetes management than she had in years. The systematic testing approach is crucial because individual responses to these teas can vary dramatically. What works wonderfully for your friend or neighbor might not be optimal for you, and that's perfectly normal. Factors like your genetic makeup, gut microbiome composition, medication regimen, meal timing, stress levels, and sleep patterns all influence how you'll respond to these natural interventions. During your testing weeks, try to maintain consistency in other factors that affect blood sugar. Keep your meal times, portion sizes, and food choices as similar as possible from day to day. Try to maintain consistent sleep and exercise patterns. If you have a particularly stressful day or unusual meal, note it in your log so you can account for these variables when analyzing your results. Some people worrying that 7 weeks seems like a long time to commit to testing. But consider this: you're investing less than 2 months to potentially discover natural tools that could benefit your blood sugar control for years to come. The knowledge you gain about your individual responses will serve you well for the rest of your life. Also remember that you're not just testing teas during these 7 weeks. You're also learning valuable lessons about blood sugar monitoring, the impact of timing on your glucose control, and how different factors affect your overall metabolic health. Many of my patients tell me that the systematic monitoring during the testing protocol taught them more about their diabetes management than years of occasional glucose checks. Now let's discuss how to enhance the benefits of your chosen teas by combining them with other evidence-based strategies for blood sugar control. After 60, the goal is to create what I call a metabolic stack, a combination of interventions that work synergistically to provide better blood sugar control than any single approach alone. The first component of your metabolic stack should be post-meal movement. Research consistently shows that light physical activity within 30 minutes after eating can significantly reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes. This doesn't mean you need to run a marathon after dinner. Even a 10 to 15-minute gentle walk can make a substantial difference. The timing of post-meal movement is crucial. The greatest blood sugar lowering benefit occurs when you start moving within 15 to 30 minutes after finishing your meal. This timing coincides with when glucose from your meal is beginning to enter your bloodstream, and the muscle activity helps your muscles absorb that glucose more efficiently. For people over 60, the ideal post-meal movement is a leisurely walk at a pace that allows normal conversation. You're not trying to achieve cardiovascular fitness. You're simply encouraging your muscles to take up glucose from your bloodstream. If walking isn't feasible due to mobility issues, even seated exercises like gentle arm movements or leg extensions can provide benefits. Here's how to integrate post-meal movement with your tea protocol. Drink your chosen tea at the optimal time before your meal. Eat your normal meal. Then within 15 to 30 minutes after finishing eating, take a 10 to 15-minute walk. This combination of pre-meal tea and post-meal movement often provides synergistic effects that are greater than either intervention alone. The second component of your metabolic Stack is optimizing your meal composition, particularly the order in which you eat different foods. Research has shown that eating protein and vegetables before carbohydrates can significantly reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes, even when the total amount of food consumed remains the same. This strategy, sometimes called food sequencing, works by slowing gastric emptying and reducing the rate at which carbohydrates are absorbed. When you eat protein and fiber-rich vegetables first, they form a physical barrier in your stomach that slows the movement of subsequently consumed carbohydrates into your small intestine. Here's the practical application. Start your meals with a few bites of protein, chicken, fish, eggs, cheese, or legumes, and some non-starchy vegetables. Then consume your carbohydrates, bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, toward the end of your meal. This simple change in eating order can reduce post-meal glucose spikes by 20–30%. Combining food sequencing with your tea protocol creates a powerful one-two punch for blood sugar control. Drink your chosen tea 15 to 30 minutes before eating, then eat your protein and vegetables first, followed by any carbohydrates. The tea prepares your digestive system for optimal glucose management, while the food sequencing provides an additional layer of protection against blood sugar spikes. The third component of your metabolic stack addresses sleep quality, which has a profound impact on blood sugar control that many people over 60 don't fully appreciate. Poor sleep increases insulin resistance, elevates stress hormones that raise blood glucose, and disrupts the hormones that regulate hunger and satiety. Research shows that even one night of poor sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity by 20–25%, making blood sugar control significantly more difficult the following day. Chronic sleep problems can lead to persistent insulin resistance that makes diabetes management much more challenging. For people over 60, sleep quality often declines due to changes in sleep architecture, increased sensitivity to environmental disruptions, medication side effects, and underlying health conditions. However, there are specific strategies that can help improve sleep quality and, consequently, blood sugar control. First, establish a consistent sleep schedule that aligns with your natural circadian rhythms. Most people over 60 function best with an earlier bedtime and earlier wake time compared to when they were younger. Try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Second, create an optimal sleep environment. Your bedroom should be cool, dark, and quiet. Consider blackout curtains or an eye mask, and keep the temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Many people over 60 benefit from a white noise machine or earplugs to mask disruptive sounds. Third, avoid caffeine after 2 p.m., as it can interfere with sleep quality even if it doesn't prevent you from falling asleep. This is particularly important when incorporating green tea into your blood sugar management routine. Stick to morning or early afternoon consumption. Fourth, limit screen time for at least 1 hour before bedtime. The blue light from phones, tablets, and televisions can suppress melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep and reducing sleep quality. Here's how to integrate sleep optimization with your tea protocol. If you choose hibiscus or mulberry leaf tea as part of your blood sugar management routine, these caffeine-free options can be consumed in the evening without disrupting sleep. Some people find that chamomile tea in the evening helps with both relaxation and blood sugar stability overnight. The fourth component of your metabolic stack is stress management. Chronic stress elevates cortisol levels, which directly increases blood glucose and promotes insulin resistance. For people over 60, stress often comes from health concerns, financial worries, family responsibilities, or major life transitions like retirement. Effective stress management doesn't require hours of meditation or complex relaxation techniques. Simple, consistent practices can provide significant benefits for blood sugar control. Deep breathing exercises, gentle stretching, spending time in nature, maintaining social connections, and engaging in enjoyable hobbies can all help reduce stress levels. One particularly effective stress management technique for people over 60 is progressive muscle relaxation, which can be practiced while drinking your evening tea. This involves systematically tensing and relaxing different muscle groups while focusing on the contrast between tension and relaxation. The fifth component of your metabolic stack is hydration optimization. Dehydration can worsen blood sugar control by concentrating glucose in your bloodstream and interfering with kidney function. Many people over 60 don't drink enough fluids due to reduced thirst sensation, concerns about frequent urination, or side effects from medications. Your tea consumption can contribute significantly to your daily fluid intake while providing blood sugar benefits. Aim for a total daily fluid intake of about 8 glasses, with a significant portion coming from your therapeutic teas. This approach ensures adequate hydration while maximizing the metabolic benefits of your tea consumption. Now let's discuss how to monitor your progress and adjust your approach over time. Blood sugar management isn't a set-it-and-forget-it proposition. Your needs may change to factors like medication adjustments, health status changes, seasonal variations, or life circumstances. Establish a regular monitoring routine that includes both objective measurements and subjective assessments. For objective monitoring, continue checking your blood glucose at key times, fasting, and 1 to 2 hours after meals, at least a few times per week. Many people find it helpful to do more comprehensive monitoring 1 day per week. Checking blood sugar before and after all meals. Keep track of your hemoglobin A1C levels through regular lab work with your healthcare provider. A1C reflects your average blood sugar over the previous 2 to 3 months and provides valuable information about the long-term effectiveness of your tea protocol and other interventions. For subjective monitoring, pay attention to your energy levels throughout the day, your sleep quality, your appetite and hunger patterns, and your overall sense of well-being. These factors often improve along with blood sugar control and can provide early indicators of how well your interventions are working. Create a simple monthly review routine where you look back at your blood sugar logs, note any patterns or trends, and consider whether adjustments to your tea protocol might be beneficial. Perhaps you need to adjust timing, try a different tea, or modify your preparation method based on what you've learned about your individual responses. Seasonal adjustments may be necessary as your activity levels, eating patterns, and stress levels change throughout the year. Many people find that they need different tea combinations or timing during holidays, travel periods, or seasonal changes in routine. Let me share a comprehensive success story that illustrates how all these components work together. Robert, a 72-year-old retired teacher, came to me with an A1C of 8.1 despite taking multiple diabetes medications. He was frustrated, tired, and worried about the long-term complications of poorly controlled diabetes. We started with a 7-week tea testing protocol. Robert discovered that cinnamon tea before lunch and mulberry leaf tea before dinner provided the best blood sugar improvements for his individual physiology. His post-meal peaks dropped from averages of 220 to 240 down to 170 to 190. Still not perfect, but a significant improvement. But we didn't stop there. Robert committed to a 10-minute walk after lunch and dinner, implemented food sequencing by starting meals with protein and vegetables, improved his sleep hygiene by establishing a consistent bedtime routine, and incorporated 10 minutes of deep breathing exercises while drinking his evening tea. The combination was transformative. After 6 months, Robert's A1C had dropped to 7.2. His energy levels were dramatically improved, and his doctor was able to reduce one of his diabetes medications. After a full year, his A1C reached 6.8, and he felt like he had his life back. Robert's success wasn't due to any single intervention. It was the result of a comprehensive approach that addressed multiple factors affecting blood sugar control. The teas provided the foundation, but the additional lifestyle modifications amplified and sustained the benefits. As we near the end of our comprehensive exploration of blood sugar fighting teas, I want to address some common questions and concerns that people over 60 often have about implementing these strategies. The first common concern is cost. Many people worrying that high-quality teas and the time required for preparation will be expensive or burdensome. In reality, even premium Ceylon cinnamon sticks, organic green tea, and other therapeutic teas typically cost less per serving than a cup of coffee from a cafe. When you consider the potential savings in medical costs from better blood sugar control, therapeutic teas represent an excellent investment in your health. The second concern is complexity. Some people feel overwhelmed by the idea of testing multiple teas, monitoring blood sugar, and making lifestyle changes. Remember that you don't have to implement everything at once. Start with the tea testing protocol, identify what works for you, then gradually add other components of the metabolic stack as you become comfortable with your routine. The third concern is social situations. Many people worrying about how to maintain their tea protocol when dining out, traveling, or attending social events. The key is flexibility and preparation. Identify which of your chosen teas provides the most benefit and focus on that one during challenging situations. Many restaurants will provide hot water for tea bags, and portable tea options are available for travel. The fourth concern is family and social support. Some people worrying that their families won't understand or support their commitment to natural blood sugar management. Education and inclusion often help. Share what you're learning. Invite family members to join you for post-meal walks, and explain how these strategies complement rather than replace medical treatment. Let's also discuss when to seek additional medical support. While these teas are generally safe and beneficial, there are situations where you should consult with your healthcare provider more frequently or seek additional medical attention if you experience frequent episodes of hypoglycemia, blood sugar levels below 70 milligrams per deciliter, especially if accompanied by symptoms like sweating, shaking, confusion, or dizziness. You need to work with your doctor to adjust your medication regimen. The teas may be working so well that your current medication doses are now too high. If you notice persistent changes in your blood pressure, especially if you're using hibiscus tea and taking blood pressure medications, more frequent monitoring may be necessary. Your doctor may need to adjust your medication doses as your blood pressure improves. If you develop any unusual symptoms, persistent nausea, abdominal pain, changes in urination patterns, or unusual fatigue, discontinue the teas and consult with your healthcare provider. While adverse reactions to these teas are rare, individual sensitivities can occur. Regular communication with your healthcare team is essential. Share your blood sugar logs, discuss the improvements you're seeing, and work collaboratively to optimize your overall diabetes management strategy. Many healthcare providers are supportive of evidence-based natural interventions when they're used appropriately and monitored carefully. Now let's explore some advanced strategies for maximizing the benefits of your tea protocol. These techniques can help you fine-tune your approach and achieve even better blood sugar control. Temperature optimization can enhance the extraction of beneficial compounds from your teas. While I've provided general temperature guidelines, you may find that slightly adjusting the water temperature improves both the flavor and effectiveness of your chosen teas. Keep a thermometer handy and experiment with temperatures within the recommended ranges to find your personal optimum. Timing variations can also be explored once you've established your baseline response to each tea. Some people find that drinking their chosen tea 30 minutes before meals works better than 15 minutes, while others discover that consuming tea with meals provides optimal benefits. Use your blood sugar monitoring to guide these refinements. Combination synergies can be explored by carefully combining complementary teas. For example, some people find that adding a small amount of ginger to their cinnamon tea enhances both flavor and blood sugar benefits. Others discover that alternating between two different teas provides better long-term results than using the same tea every day. Seasonal cycling involves adjusting your tea choices based on seasonal changes in your blood sugar patterns, activity levels, and food choices. Many people find that they need stronger interventions during holiday seasons or periods of increased stress. While lighter approaches work well during stable periods, quality upgrading can provide enhanced benefits as you become more experienced with tea preparation and consumption. Investing in higher quality tea sources, better preparation equipment, or more precise timing methods can incrementally improve your results. Let me share some troubleshooting strategies for common challenges people encounter when implementing their tea protocols. If you're not seeing the blood sugar improvements you expected, first verify that you're preparing the teas correctly and consuming them at optimal times. Double-check water temperatures, steeping times, and the timing relative to your meals. Small variations in preparation can significantly impact effectiveness. Consider whether other factors might be interfering with your results. Changes in stress levels, sleep patterns, physical activity, or medication regimens can all affect blood sugar control and may mask the benefits of your tea protocol if you're experiencing digestive upset from any of the teas. Try reducing the concentration or frequency of consumption. Start with half the recommended amount and gradually increase as your digestive system adapts. Some people need several weeks to fully adapt to increased fiber intake from teas like Fenugreek. If you're having trouble with taste preferences, experiment with preparation methods and natural flavor enhancers. A small amount of lemon, a pinch of stevia, or combining teas with complementary herbs can make them more palatable without compromising their blood sugar benefits. If you're struggling with consistency, focus on habit stacking, attaching your tea consumption to existing routines you already perform consistently. For example, prepare your morning tea while your coffee is brewing, or drink your pre-dinner tea while preparing your meal. As we conclude this comprehensive exploration of blood sugar fighting teas for people over 60, I want to emphasize the most important principle: sustainable, long-term improvement requires patience, consistency, and a willingness to work with your individual physiology rather than against it. These 5 teas, Ceylon cinnamon, green tea, mulberry leaf, fenugreek, and hibiscus, represent powerful, evidence-based tools for blood sugar management, but they're not magic bullets, and they won't transform your metabolic health overnight. What they will do, when used consistently and appropriately, is provide meaningful support for your blood sugar control while potentially reducing your reliance on pharmaceutical interventions. The systematic testing approach I've outlined will help you identify which of these teas works best for your unique situation. The metabolic stack components, post-meal movement, food sequencing, sleep optimization, stress management, and proper hydration will amplify and sustain the benefits of your chosen teas. Remember that successful diabetes management after 60 is not about perfection. It's about consistent progress and finding approaches that you can maintain long-term. Small improvements in blood sugar control, when sustained over months and years, can dramatically reduce your risk of complications and significantly improve your quality of life. Your journey with these therapeutic teas is just beginning. Be patient with yourself as you learn what works best for your body. Celebrate small victories and improvements. Stay connected with your healthcare team and advocate for yourself, an active participant in your diabetes management. Most importantly, remember that you have more control over your blood sugar and overall health than you might realize. The tools I've shared today can empower you to take charge of your metabolic health naturally and effectively. Your commitment to trying these evidence-based approaches demonstrates a proactive attitude that will serve you well in all aspects of your health and wellness journey. The path to better blood sugar control after 60 doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. With the right tools, the right approach, and the right mindset, you can achieve meaningful improvements in your metabolic health while enjoying the process. These 5 powerful teas can be your allies in that journey, providing both therapeutic benefits and the satisfaction of taking active, natural steps toward better health. Start with 1 tea. Monitor your response carefully and build your personalized protocol systematically. Your future self will thank you for taking these important steps toward better blood sugar control and overall wellness. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and today, that step can be as simple as brewing your first cup of therapeutic tea.